Good morning. Good morning. Wait for everyone to get on. We're going to get started shortly. Okay, I want to get Instagram on and then we're going to get started. So excited about today. It's Monday. It is Monday. Ooh, it's Monday. I'm joking. No, I'm not joking. It is Monday. Okay. We're going to get started. I'm really excited about today. So I'm going to get us started shortly. I just want to get Instagram on and then we're going to kick off. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, let's get Instagram up and joining with us. Okay, so that everybody is on. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Okay, well, welcome to Power 15, where we meet on Mondays and Tuesdays for you to get 15 minutes of encouragement. So before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that be sure to go to genesisdorsey.com, click on the events tab so that you can see what's happening this month as far as special events. We do have the free holiday boot camp, which is open to anyone in the United States. It's going to be hosted through the Women's Business Center of Delaware. I think we already have like 60 women. It's amazing. It's amazing. Registered for it. And it's going to be for those of you who are business owners, ministry leaders, and you have, let's say you have some kind of store component for whatever it is that you do, and you want to get yourself ready for Black Friday and the holidays. So there is going to be that free training again. That's going to be the end of this month. You go to my website, click on the events tab to get access to that free event. Completely free, no charge. And then also too, there is going to be our accountability call, which is going to be the top of November. Be sure to register for that. If you did not make the last one, be sure to register for this upcoming one so that you don't miss any of our upcoming accountability calls. Listen, I have enjoyed them. I'm not even going to speak on behalf of anyone else. For me, they've been amazing and just encouraging because you get to hear from other women who are in the faith. And it's just, the encouragement and the faith that you get to hear. I mean, it is just amazing. So, be sure again to go to genesisdorsey.com/events and you'll be able to get in on that. Again, you can go to genesisdorsey.com. Oop, that's the wrong one. Why did I say that? Here you go. The genesisdorsey.com. There you go. And you can just click on the events tab. Let's jump into this morning. So if you missed last week, I did a morning teaching that was more of a pop-up, but it really set the groundwork for the vision teaching we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. And if you missed that, go to genesisdorsey.com, click on Power 15 tab, and you'll be able to watch our most recent video. I've been adding them to the page, but the most recent one, because it breaks down where we're going over the next several weeks. I mean, it just breaks it all down. So we're going to first go through our vision acronym so that you already know what's coming. And then again, today we're going to focus on the V in vision. Okay, we're going to focus on the V in vision. But let's go through our acronym because, hey, maybe you weren't with us over the weekend. And so we need to go through our vision acronym. Okay, so let's get started. The V stands for, and again, before I start, this is going to be teaching you as a leader on how to cast vision. And casting vision, before we deep dive into these 15 minutes, casting vision is more than you just talking about where you're going. Leaders of organizations, companies, ministries, there is a gift in casting vision. And you don't cast vision once. You cast it continuously to inspire, which we're going to talk about, to influence. It is the leader's job. It's very important that you have this skill on how to cast vision. It's very important that you understand how to use your leadership to bring people to that end or that destination that you desire to bring them to. And so this is really how you walk in leadership. Leadership is not you having a business. Leadership is not you having a ministry. You can have a lot of things and still not be a leader. Okay. This is about how do you actually walk out your leadership. And we're going to do it first. So that's why I'm using it as a starting point. for vision, okay? Because this is what you are responsible to produce, okay? Profit, revenue, donors, those are all byproducts of a great vision. Those are all byproducts of a great business model, great ministry model. But we're talking about, how do you inspire people? How do you lead people? How do you draw people, right? And not drawing them for popularity's sake, but then how do you retain people, right? It's one thing to be popular. It's another thing to have great retainment, and so we're going to talk about this. So this is why we're talking about vision, okay? So let's deep dive again. We're going to first do our vision acronym, because it is an acronym, and then we're going to kick off today with V. So number one, the V in vision stands for giving voice. That's what we're going to talk about today. The first I is for being intentional, okay? So I got to give voice. I have to be intentional. Okay, here's our S. I have to be strategic, because as we outlined over the weekend, you could be consistent about the wrong thing. So yes, be intentional, but make sure that you're also, that S word, strategic, okay? Then our next I is that I have to also give, I have to influence others. Vision is not vision if it can't influence somebody. And you as a leader must have the gift of influence. Okay. So I have to give voice. I have to be intentional. I have to be strategic. I have to be able to influence. And here's our O. You have to be able to operate in what you've said. So it's glad that you've given voice. I'm glad that you're being intentional. I'm glad that you're being strategic. I'm glad that you're influencing others. But you have to make sure that you can produce what you've said. And that a lot of times that will be a byproduct from being intentional and strategic, but you always have to assess that you are operating in a manner. And we had a tag on O with that operation, right, which was organized. Leaders have to be organized, and that's my biggest flaw. Oh my God, right? Being organized, because organization is key to effective leadership. I don't care what anyone says. And if you are a creative, your chaotic norms are not an excuse for you not to be organized. I'm going to say that one again, because I am a creative. I come from that world. But I'm going to tell you right now, you being chaotic or, I'm a creative, this is just how I am, that is not a beneficial gift. There is no anointing in chaos. I don't care what anyone says. There is no anointing in chaos. And so if you believe that that's a part of your secret sauce, you being chaotic, that is a deception. Okay? That does not make you more creative because you are chaotic. It makes you more chaotic. Okay? And so that can prevent you from having new levels of access, because, no one can trust you because you're not organized, right? So it's important that you have organization. It's also important as a leader that you have organization, because when people follow you, the leader should be in order. Not perfect. Notice we're not talking about perfection. We're talking about an order. Because how can someone follow a path if you don't even know where you're going? All over the place, right? So it's important that you have clarity. You know exactly where you're going. When we talk about exactly, does not mean that you know the full picture, but you better know the first couple of steps, right? And have organization within those steps. Otherwise, it's hard for people to stay with you, because there is no organization. So that's important. And then for our N, here's our N, you have to learn how to say no. The great mark of any great leader is their ability to have amazing boundaries. Okay? Once you get a vision, okay, that begins to set boundaries. People in this day and age, people don't like boundaries. People don't like titles. People don't like anything that in their mind limits them. Right, which is one reason why we are so chaotic as a people in today's society, because we feel like we put labels on ourselves. I'm being boxed in. I don't want to label. I don't want anyone to tell me who I am. But that's the problem with today's society, is that we are so horrible with boundaries. We hate labels. We hate titles. Don't call me a Christian. I am spiritual, but I'm not religious. I don't want to be seen as a Christian. Okay, fine. So I have a question. If you were in China somewhere where they cut people's heads off because they're Christians, and I just want to, are you going to say to somebody, I'm not a Christian? I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. Don't put me in a religious box. I mean, at the end of the day, you're a Christian, though, right? Do you believe that Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior? Yes or no, right? I mean, we don't want to be. Well, I don't want to be seen like other Christians out. I mean, my God, do you believe in Jesus Christ? Do you believe in the tenets of Christianity? You're a Christian, okay? I don't care if you want to be boxing or not, but my God, when Jesus comes back, okay, and this world is in turmoil and people are being persecuted, I'm telling you this: if the disciples were like, I'm spiritual but not religious, oh my goodness, the luxury we get in our society today to not pick a side. Oh my, we don't want to pick no sides. We don't want to pick any sides. We don't want to pick anything. But guess what? Guess what? Boundaries are essential because it lets people know what you're doing. It lets people know who you are, right? So I don't know about anyone else, but I'm going to tell you from GenesisDorsey.com perspective, I like labels. I like titles, okay? Because I am not focused on what other people think about me. I'm focused on what God thinks about me. So when I call myself a Christian, I don't care what these other Christians out there are doing. I know who I am as a Christian. I know who I am as a believer, okay? And I'm not wrapped up in detailed in titles. Same thing when it goes for, what I do. People say, well, I don't want to be boxing in what I do. I do many things. But that's the reason why no one knows what you do, okay? Because you do 100 things. Which title do we put underneath your name? Because you do 100 things. There should be where I am the owner of blah, 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 blah. Right? And you may have several companies. Okay, I get it. But my thing is that you have to have boundaries, and great leaders, when they get locked in on a vision, they don't hop and leave that current vision to go hop onto another one. They're going to first see that idea through. We see this all the time with tech CEOs, with all different types of CEOs. When they get put onto a company to lead, they are not leaving that company 3 months later to go hop on something else. They're going to at least see, is this idea that we've conceptualized as a company, is this going to work? Is this going to come to fruit? If it doesn't, they end up either it is successful, they sell it, or it's not successful and they bail it. Right? But what they are not going to do is leave that vision because they get excited about another vision. And this is why for many people, they have a hard time saying no. And they're wondering why their businesses don't get off the ground. They're wondering why their vision never really comes to pass in the way in which they saw it. And it is all because you are not setting healthy boundaries. Okay? Here's another thing we're going to go to our 15 minutes, okay? When you say no, it begins to protect the vision. We covered this last week. Saying no protects whatever you have. Because once you know what you're working on, you can't entertain everybody. You can't take on any kind of client. You can't have any kind of customer. You can't take on any type of partnership or just any type of collaboration. Once you know what you're doing, it begins to clearly set what we can and cannot do, who we should and should not hire, who we should and should not partner with. The reason why so many people have a hard time accomplishing is because they're letting everybody in the circle, letting everybody in their business, letting everybody be a partner, because you're not setting boundaries. So I'm encouraging you to start saying no. Okay. Start saying no. Okay. Okay. You start saying no. Okay. So that's important. So that is our vision acronym. These are things I want you to remember when you're working on your business, working on your ministry, working on your company, whatever it may be. Give voice. Okay, got to give voice. You got to be intentional. You got to be strategic. You have to be able to influence others. You have to be able to operate in what you've said, and you have to be able to say no. Let's kick off our 15. We're at 9 o'clock. Let's kick off our 15 minutes. Okay, we've done our preset. Let's do our 15-minute. Here we go. Today we're talking about giving voice. We're not going to be long. We're going to get off at 9:15, and we're going to be back tomorrow morning. Okay, so whatever we don't cover, we will continue. Again, this is part 1 to the V in vision. The V, remember, stands for give voice. It means to speak out. It's very important that when you are speaking your vision, this is not talking about your products. This is not talking about your services. This is talking about what leaders do. Leaders talk about the company overall. If you've ever been to an annual investors meeting, if you own any type of stock or any type of parts of a company as a partner or whatever it may be, usually there's going to be an annual meeting where they talk about, what they've accomplished for the year. They're going to talk about what the vision is. There also may be keynotes that a company may do throughout the year or once a year where the CEO is going to give voice to the greater vision at hand. And there's a reason why companies do this, right? And it's kind of interesting because smaller businesses feel like, well, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do any of that, right? But there's a reason why, because when you're doing something, it's important that people are being reminded of where you're going. Okay. It's important that people are being inspired by where a leader is an inspiring person, right? And so where are opportunities to inspire? I talked to a lot of small business owners. I asked them, when's the last time you cast a vision to your team, cast a vision to your employees, cast a vision as a church? A lot of churches do this, but when you talk about your leadership teams, when are you inspiring vision within them past just once a year? They're doing 365 days of ministry, and how often are you inspiring them throughout that period of time, right? And yes, this life will be saved. So this is important. A leader inspires. Again, remember, you're not just a leader because you own something. You're a leader by what you do unto others, okay? I'm glad that you're making money. I'm glad you're being profitable. That's awesome. But I'm talking about your leadership side now, right? So let's look at an example. Of course, we're going to look at 2 examples quickly this morning. Again, whatever we don't get done today, we'll be back tomorrow at 8:45 Eastern time in the morning. Let's look at Luke 4. And this is for Speak Woman Speak. This is actually our inspiration passage that we use all the time. And so please get familiar with Luke 4, 16 through 21. We use it all the time because I always teach our ladies. This is where Jesus told us ahead of time what he was going to do. Okay. This was not, an alarm. Okay. Luke 4, 16 through 21. This is Jesus. He came to Nazareth where he had been raised up. This is a message. I want to go specifically to the King James. I'm so sorry. Okay, we go. And he came to Nazareth where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened up the book, he found the place where it was written. Now, this is where he gives us what he's about to do. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Okay. Now, this is how we know it's vision, because he is not in this passage. Hey, Germany. Hi, guys. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Natalie. He's not talking about how he's going to do it, right? He's talking about what he's going to do, okay? Vision is what you're going to do, where you're going to take people, okay? Mission is how it's going to get done. Right? We see the mission unfold after this. Okay. We see the mission unfold very clearly. He's going to get his disciples. He's going to build his team. He's going to be, the Bible clearly shows in that New Testament how he does it. But he also lets us know ahead of time what he's going to do, because this is how God works. Whenever there has been a massive movement in the Bible, you will always see where God himself, or in this point, Jesus himself, comes to let the person know what he needs to do. He did it with Abraham. We told Abraham, he said, I'll make you the father of many nations. Many nations will come out of you. He was letting him know of his plan of creating the 12 tribes of Judah. When it became Moses' time to set the people free from captivity, he came to Moses and let Moses know, here's what's about to go down. He didn't just say, okay, Moses, let's just go. He let him know, listen, my people have been crying out for a deliverer. You're it. Okay. It was all in motion. When Moses had died and Joshua was taking over, God comes. The more I just talk about the word, God is so loving to us, because when you are looking for it, he will give you the vision. If you're someone that, you've been called by God, listen, there is not a place where God has never given vision to the person that he's called to have vision. He came to Joshua and he said, he said, look, be encouraged, be strong in the Lord, be courageous. He was building him up, and he tells him in Joshua 1 that my people, there's a promised land they got to get to, right? So he was letting Joshua know, listen, Moses has died. Like, why would God bring that up? Of course, no, he was letting him know it's time to move on, because guess what? I have a work to be done. There are people who need to be into their promised land, and this is what needs to happen. This is how you're going to tear down the walls of Jericho. He was setting up Joshua. Whenever we look in the word, he is always letting us know of what is about to take place before we participate. Okay, so why would Jesus not do the same thing? He lets the people know. Now, they may not have been paying attention. They may not have cared. They may have just thought, oh, there's that young guy again from Bethlehem in Jerusalem, right? But no, he's letting them know it's about to go down, right? And that's how you got to be when you cast a vision. Listen, you got to get excited. You know why? Number one, it's the vision that God gave you. This is important. When God gives the vision to someone, so key. He does not give that vision to the team. He gives it to the leader to give to the people. And many times as leaders is we're looking for people to know the vision before we do. We're looking for our friends, so we want people to confirm. Did God really say that? I don't know. What do you think? No. God gives you, the leader, the vision, because it's your responsibility. That's not your team's responsibility. Their responsibility is to assist you in that. It is not their responsibility, though, to give you the fire. That's your job. Your job is to have the fire. Okay, it's your job to influence and inspire. Now, you can have inspirational team members who inspire and do all that, but you are the core of it. You got to get that. So Jesus is setting it off. Okay, let's look at Nehemiah real quick. Okay, Nehemiah, because our time is almost up. This is how fast it goes. But listen, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Nehemiah 1 and 4. Okay, Nehemiah 1 and 4. So in Nehemiah 1 and 4, we know that Nehemiah, he was given a commandment from God to go back and to build the wall in his hometown. The wall had fallen. The Bible says here, and this is important in 1 and 4. And it came to pass when I heard these words that I sat down and wept and mourned certain days and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. And I said, I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God that keepeth covenant mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments. Let thine ear now be attentive and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee. He's basically praying, listen, God, the suffering and the fact that his people were in captivity. If you read Nehemiah 1, you read a lot about captivity. The people, the wall had been broke. His Jerusalem had went through a lot, to the point where they were in captivity and the wall had been broken down and the gates were burned on fire. And so he feels this strong commitment to go back and to build. Okay. And so we fast forward, the king gives him permission to go and build. And when you fast forward, the book of Nehemiah is so powerful, because any leader, you should be reading the book of Nehemiah as a great inspiration, because it lets you know what leaders have to go through. Okay. Now, what is important that we want to draw from this morning that we'll get back tomorrow, okay, is the fact that when you are voicing vision, okay, you, the leader, feel it. Nehemiah had been given this, and he was because he could feel. Oh my God, he could feel. And many times, leaders, you feel things that your team will not feel. Your team will not even understand. And you'll have to make decisions that your team will not even understand. But it's because you have the responsibility to carry it out. Okay, this is why leaders must have external friends outside of your work, your bit, whatever it may be, as a place to outpour. And you want to make sure that these are healthy people as well, who understand not just the business, but the God in you. It's very important, because when you're leading something that God has given you, you cannot that's not the right word, but outpour to people who have no godly conscience. Because they may recognize the natural gift in you, but they may not know the spiritual gift within you. And I'm telling you, I've seen it so many times where leaders have fallen astray because they've laid their head, or they've put their head on someone's shoulder, or had conversations with people that were not God conscious. I have worldly friends that are business minds, and I talk to them about business. But there are certain things within my business, within even the family business, I'm not going to talk to them about, because they can't comprehend when it's something that God gave you, right? Because they'll tell you, oh, you might as well just sell. You might as well just quit. You might as well just give up. I wouldn't even touch it. But if God gave me something, I can't just leave and not do it. Right? I can't, no, wait, hold on, back up. So you have to be mindful. And so for Nehemiah, he felt such a pull that the Bible says the king looked at him while he was the king's cupbearer. And he's like, what is wrong with you? You look completely different. And Nehemiah told him, he said, look, king, man, my people, man, we're in captivity. That is way heavy on me. And the king said, well, listen, go. Listen, it's weighing so heavy on you. Go and get that. Go and fulfill that. And so it's so important that we understand that, number one, vision. Okay, vision is something that you possess. So vision is something that you possess. So when you're giving voice, it is up to you to voice it. It's not anyone else's job. But then number two, in you voicing the vision, people should hear your heart coming out of that thing, because you also can feel the vision. So number one, I have to make sure, again, that when it comes to vision, that I'm understanding that it belongs to me. Okay, it belongs. Okay, it's yours. Okay. But then number two, that you need to make sure you feel it. You got to feel the vision. The vision is something that you possess. But number two, you got to feel it as you speak. You have to feel this thing. If God's given to you, I promise you, you'll have a sense of feeling within it. Okay. So here's what I want us to do. I want to give you one key point as we get off this morning. And this is very important, very important. When I talk about vision, there's two types of visions. There is a spiritual vision, okay, which is the ability to where God gives you an experience that is tied to revelation. Okay. Most times visions will come. Sometimes visions will come in your sleep, which we see in the Bible, where the Lord gave men visions while they were sleeping, not just dreams, but visions. The difference between visions and dreams, many times visions have very clear revelation. Dreams usually have to be interpreted. Okay. And when you can look in various examples, but as a great example was that Joseph had to interpret the dream of the king. Dreams had to be interpreted. Okay. Then there are visions that are very clear. The Lord gave me a vision, and the vision, sometimes there are visions that have to be interpreted, but most times visions have very clear revelation. Like it's a revelatory kind of word, right? And so there's a spiritual aspect of vision. Then there is the natural word vision. The natural word vision is usually tied towards something that a leader does, where it's something that is at the very beginning of a concept, an idea, a business, a ministry, your life. It can be, but it's usually the beginning concept and the overall idea of what it should become. Got it? And so when we talk about vision, you got to be careful, right? We're talking about there's two different types of visions. There's the spiritual concept of vision, and then there is the natural concept of vision. We're talking about the natural concept of vision, right? However, I want to intertwine this. There are many of you where the Lord gave you a vision for your vision. Okay. And so I do not want to confuse anyone. We're talking about vision. We're talking about it from a leadership standpoint, but we will tap into the spiritual side of it, because when you are God's daughter, God's man, the Lord will give you visions and dreams that will help you to further carry on whatever God has called you to do. So we're not gonna just stop in the natural. So I want to give you this last nugget, and we're going to log off. But this is important, because vision requires more than you can do on your own. That's how you know it's a God thing. Okay. There are people who have ideas. There are people who have concepts. People who have businesses, leaders, great. But when God gives you a vision, that's how you know it's a God thing. It's bigger than you. And I've met people who have big ideas, but it still wasn't God. Because when I say bigger than you, I don't just mean a big idea. Okay, we're about to wrap up. Okay, I want you to hear this. This is where we're going to pick up next week. Okay. Having big ideas are not necessarily that it's God. It's God when God says it. But when God says it, whatever he gives you, it will be bigger than you. I know people were unsaved, and we know this because we look at major companies. These are men and women that are not saved, and they have thought big on such a level. I mean, it's almost like wow, it's mind blowing how they've been able to conceive some of these business ideas and concepts, and without the Holy Spirit and without being saved at all, right? But when God calls you to do something, there is a spiritual impact to it. And so many a times what you're doing, it's going to not just be something that's bigger than you, but it's going to bring everything out of you. It's going to completely transform you to when you are even going through the transformation of your leadership, you are going to end up looking completely different and being completely different than you were before. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. How do you cast vision when the vision within you is bigger than who you are? How do we cast vision when God tells me to speak something and I don't even feel like I'm qualified to say half of these things because what I'm seeing, I don't even have half of the things that I'm talking about. So how do I speak out something so big, yet I see myself as so small? We're going to talk about that. So guys, listen, thank you so much for joining me for Power 15. We are done. Join me tomorrow morning again every Monday and Tuesday, as those are our days now, every Monday and Tuesday at 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a preset time, and then we're going to end off with our 15 minutes of encouragement. I hope that today gave you a little bit of inspiration for the week, kind of some things to meditate on. Again, be sure to join us tomorrow morning, again at 8:45 Eastern Time in the morning. Again, if you missed any of our previous ones, be sure to go to POWER15, JenesisDorsey.com/POWER15. All of the Power 15s are going to be saved. So once I'm done this live stream, it will be saved and put right onto these platforms, okay? Love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Be blessed, guys. See you guys. See you, Facebook.